This is the second palace in this palace. We have 3 palaces here. That palace is as old as 147 years. Ikorodu was once an Egbaland.
Lagos.
Yes, was once an Egbaland. Like I told you, Egba was a nation on its own before the amalgamation that came in 1914. It was the amalgamation that took our freedom away from us. It was the amalgamation that took our nation away from us. We were on our own. We were far older than Nigeria. We would have been speaking French as our language in Egbaland. 1930, Egba wanted to celebrate their 100 years of existence, and that centenary hall outside there was built to commemorate their 100 years of existence. Here is the same palace that Madam Oluwafunmilayo Ransom Kuti came in 1948 with those market women naked.
Hello besties, welcome back again to the channel. Yeah, I know it's been a while here. Happy New Year guys, and I hope you are all doing great. To all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for always sticking with me. And if this is your first time coming across this channel, hello, my name is Adebisi and you are welcome. Please do well to join this amazing community by hitting the subscribe button and go check out my other videos. In today's video, we are visiting one of Abeokuta's historical sites, which is the Ake Palace, the official residence of the Aláke of Egbaland, the paramount traditional ruler of the Egba people in Abeokuta. To be honest with you guys, initially I wanted to visit the Centenary Hall, not the Ake Palace, because the Centenary Hall is also part of historical places in Abeokuta. I wanted to know more about the history of the hall and see the inside. I've always thought the inside would be full of artifacts, but to my surprise, it is filled with pictures of old dignitaries of the Egbas. But fortunately, I was able to tour the Ake Palace and hear about new histories I never knew existed. And knowing the history of one's origin should be an important part of everyone's life. If you are from any part of Abeokuta, whether Ake, Owu, Bagura, Oshile, or even from anywhere in the world, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now let's keep heading to Ake to learn how mighty and great Egba was as a nation. Guys, we are now at Ake Palace. Come with me as we step inside to learn the rich history of the Egba people.
So, welcome to Egba Museum. Here, we are going to, this is the second palace in this palace. We have 3 palaces here. We have the first palace, where we call it Dairy. That's the oldest palace.
Okay.
That palace is as old as 147 years. And here is the second palace. This palace is about 123 years. We are going to go in, and the third palace, which is the current palace of the Aláke. So here is the second palace, where we have one of the thrones of the current king, Oba Dr. Michael Adedotun Gbadebo Okukeno the Fourth, Gbadebo the Third. Here is the same palace that Madam Oluwafunmilayo Ransom Kuti came in 1948 with those market women naked, trying to persuade the then king Oba Ademola II for the tax being given to the market women. And this door was the door the market women came in through. The same old door is still the same till date. And that last door is the exit door that Oba Ademola II ran through to escape for his exile at Osogbo for 2 years. Here is the palace that has accommodated 4 kings. 4 kings. That palace accommodated 3 kings. So we are at the 10th king as we are speaking. Here are the seats of the chiefs. We call them the statutory chiefs. We have 2 kinds of chiefs in this palace. We have those we call the general title chiefs, and we have those we call the statutory chiefs. The general title chiefs are the givers, while the statutory chiefs are the takers. What do I mean by the givers and the takers? Givers means you bring your money and your title you want us to give you as a chief under Egbaland, and we give it to you with your money. While the statutory are those that are recognized by the government. They are being paid salaries. So these seats belongs to the statutory chiefs, the Odofin, the Lokotun, the OC, the Oluwo. These are their seats. This roof you're seeing, apart from this POP you're seeing, beneath it, over it is still that wooden floor that they used in those days. But this we are seeing is just to beautify the palace. So the wooden floor is still there. If you touch those doors, you'll see that these doors are not doors of 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They are doors of centuries. And these are still the old designs for the palace. So that is that on that. Here we have the arrival of Egba in 1830. Abeokuta started in 1830. That's why we have the arrival of the Egba from the forest. And they came to Egba, and where they went, where they lived was under that Olumo rock, where we call them Abeokuta. Who named them Abeokuta was Chief Shodeke. He was the one that named here Abeokuta in 1830. Then in 1840s, we have the arrival of the returnees of Egba from Sierra Leone. We call them the Saharo. So they came in 1840s. In 1842, we have the arrival of missionaries. The Christianity was born in Egbaland in 1842. In 1843, we have the arrival of Reverend Henry Townsend, who brought Christianity into Egba town. Reverend Townsend left Egba back to England, to UK, because there was language barrier in between the Egbas and Henry Townsend. We could not understand what he was preaching, what he was saying, because they didn't understand English. So he left back to UK, and while he was coming back in 1846, he came back with Bishop Ajayi Crowther in 1846 in order to interpret what he's saying to the Egbas, because Egba has been a nation on itself before Nigeria.
Bishop Ajayi Crowther was not taken from Nigeria.
No,
so it was brought
from UK to Nigeria. So in 1846, St. Peter's Anglican Primary School Ake was founded. That primary school was founded as the first primary school in Egbaland. In 1854, there we have our first king ever, Oba Okeno the First. He became the first Aláke of Egbaland and he ruled within the year of 1854 to 1862. Then in 1850, here comes the birth of Baptist mission in Abeokuta by arrival of Reverend Thomas Jefferson Bowen. That's the man with the named Bowen University after. In 1851, the Egba army, led by Chief Shokenu and Chief Ogunbono, drove back the Dahomey army of 1,000 men and 600 women fighters, led by King Gezo Akati. That was the king of Dahomey, who came into Egba in order to capture us. But these two great chiefs drove them back, 1,000 armies of men and 600 women fighters. In 1849, we have our first cotton mill made in Abeokuta here was exported for the first time in the history of Egba. In 1859, first newspaper in Nigeria were published by that English man, Reverend Henry Townsend. It was written in Yoruba language, Iwe Iroyin, but it was published by that same Reverend Henry Townsend, who did not understand Yoruba. So he published a Yoruba newspaper that he doesn't understand. Then in 1861, Chief Shoken, one of the great leaders, the Ake of Egbaland, and is also the Arabangla of the Egba, the big tree that is the fence of Egbaland, that's what they call him, a great warrior who led the Ijeun. He led the Ijeun to Abeokuta and head of the Oro Court. He died on the 19th of July, 1861. Then in 1862, Ijaye was destroyed and captured by Ibadan army, and the refugees were given a separate quarter of the Abeokuta. They were known as Ijaye Kukudi, and they are the Baguras today, Ijaye Kukudi and Ijaye Obintin, that's what they call them. And in 1865, Governor Glover of Lagos State drove out the Egba army from Ikorodu on 23rd of March. So in other words, Ikorodu was once an Egbaland. Ikorodu,
Lagos.
yes, was once an Egbaland. So it was Governor Glover who gave it to Lagos State. In 1869, there comes the second Aláke of Egbaland, Oba Ademola I, as the second Aláke of Egbaland, and he ruled between the year of 1869 to 1877. And in 1888, France made an attempt to annex Egbaland as a French protectorate. They approached us. If we had agreed for France, we would have been speaking French as our language in Egbaland. Here would have been a French-speaking country, a Francophone country. Then in 1898, we have the establishment of Egba United Government. Like I told you, Egba was a nation on its own before the amalgamation that came in 1914. It was the amalgamation that took our freedom away from us. It was the amalgamation that took our nation away from us. We were on our own. We were far older than Nigeria. Nigeria was bettered years after we've been in existence. And in 1900 comes dedication of the Ake Church. That is the first church in Egbaland, the first church in Ogun State, the first church in Nigeria as a whole. In 1911, that popular hospital, everybody called Lamp Hospital, it is known as Sacred Hospital, and that hospital is still in existence up to date, and it's much of activities. In 1914, there comes the amalgamation of Nigeria, which took away our pride as a nation of Egba, and we joined Nigeria in 1914. Egba has been existing since 1830, before we now joined Nigeria in 1914. In the same 1914, we have a war called Adubi War. Adubi War. This Adubi War was caused by the amalgamation of Nigeria, and this ends the end of Egba United Government. And the war was caused because of the taxation and independence that was taken away from the Egbas. In 1920 comes the coronation of that still king, the longest reigning king in Egbaland, the first literate king in Egbaland and in southern Nigeria as a whole. The king is the father to the first Chief Justice of Nigeria, Sir Adetokunbo Ademola, the same king that Olufunmilayo Ransom Kuti came into this palace to chase away, and he reigned for 42 good years. In 1923, Baptist Boys High School was opened on the 23rd of January by Reverend Samuel George Pinnock. In about 7 days ago, they celebrated 104 years. of Baptist Boys High School. In 1930 was the centenary hall you were talking about. 1930, Egba wanted to celebrate their 100 years of existence. And that centenary hall outside there was built to commemorate their 100 years of existence. In 1930 as well, the Itoku cenotaph was commissioned by Aláke of Egbaland II to immortalize the great warriors and heroes of Egbaland. So in 1948, there comes that particular riot that Funmilayo Ransome Kuti led those women to the palace here. And in 1976, Ogun State was created and Abeokuta was the capital. In 1976 as well, an Egba son, an Egba man, General Olusegun Obasanjo, became the head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In 1985, the third Ake Palace was commissioned by Oba Oyebade Lipede. In 1986, an Egba son, Professor Wole Soyinka, won the prestigious Nobel Prize for Literature. In 1993, Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola of the Social Democratic Party (SDP) contested and won the presidential election on the 12th of June 1993, but he was denied. In the year 2005 comes the coronation of the 10th Aláke of Egbaland, the present Aláke of Egbaland, Oba Dr. Michael Adedotun Aremu Gbadebo Okukemi IV as the 10th Aláke of Egbaland. This was the story of Egba. From here, we go to the first palace. Here is the first palace of the Aláke of Egbaland. This palace is as old as 174 years. And here is a painting of the first Aláke of Egbaland, Oba Sagwa Okukenu, there at the wall. There we have the three men in white. Those are the people we call the fraternities, the Ogbunis, the kingmakers. Here we have the three men with red caps and sword in their hand. They are called the Oloroguns and the Ologuns, the warlords. Here we have a symbol of a forest to signify Igbo Lishabi, that's Lishabi forest. Here are the king's musicians, we call them Olorin Oba. And here we have the patterns of the adires that we do here in Abeokuta. Here we have two doors. These two doors are what we call tubu in those days, where the prisoners are kept by the king. So the tubu are still in existence up to now, but it's of no use anymore. And here is the beauty of our women in Egbaland, where it is their natural hair, nothing is attached, and that is the beauty of an Egba woman. And here are the artifacts of the things you can find in Abeokuta. So from here we go to the main Egba Museum.
So guys, that is the end of our visit to Ake Palace. I hope this video helped you learn more about the history of the Egba people. If you find this video interesting, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Drop your thoughts in the comments and I will see you in the next one. Bye.